to what God's expectation is, that is the best thing that I can do. Because God doesn't want me to perform like another person, because that person's expectation from God is different and my expectation is totally different. But who am I to compare myself with the other person, because God's plan and purpose for that person is totally different to what my plan and purpose is. And by comparing and beating myself up to be able to come up to that person's level, I may not do what God has planned in me, or what God is expecting from me may not be revealed to the extent that God wants me to. So that pressure God relieved, and God has enabled me to understand that to do your work according to the ability. The third thing that I would like to say is these two servants, now this amount of money that was given to them is a huge sum of money. So, and in order for them to be, we read it that they invested it to do business or whatever at that time was relevant for them. With that amount, they invested it. So by investing, there was a huge amount of risk in it. So I don't do business, but I know people who do business, and I've heard that when you do investments, when you do a business, or when you give that amount of money to start a project or something, there's huge amount of risk. The risk is that you may lose, or everybody's expectation is that we should be able to double fold it at least, or at the most we should not lose anything. But so there is a huge amount of risk which they had to take. So, but then I would think that these two servants, they were prepared to take that risk, because they kind of deep down in their heart, they must have just believed that their master had trusted with this money, and the master, and they felt that they have to be faithful to the master, so they were prepared to take the risk. So God again reminds us through this passage that God's talents for us, sometimes we may feel that by doing so I may face some risk. We may say that we may fall into the ideas of maybe people around us, or somebody from who just say by doing so, you may not get, it's not really worth it. Or maybe it's going to be a shame if you sing a song in the church, and if it's not to the expectation, it's going to be a shameful thing, or maybe you will not get that much of praise or anything. That is a risk that somebody has to take, because as long as we understand what God has given in us, what the passion is in us, and we are prepared to take that risk, that risk is to be taken. Without taking risk, we are not going to achieve anything. So I think these servants were prepared to take that risk, and they saw that it benefited them. The result was good. The result was double-fold, and the result was such that they could stand in front of their master and say that we have earned the double-fold of what you gave. And finally, I would say when they were taking this risk, when they were investing, they had to wait. I wouldn't think that when we invest the money, you'd see, sometimes you may not see the results straight away. There may be a time of waiting. There may be a time that you have to wait in anticipation, expecting that it will be for good. And when we take risk, that waiting time is really difficult time sometimes, because that waiting time, you may think that, what if I'm going to lose it? What if it doesn't work? That is a very difficult time to overcome. That kind of a feeling is a very difficult feeling, I believe. But Bible reminds us, I want to read a verse, John 15 verse 5, which says, I am the vine, and you are the branches. If you remain in me and I in you, you will bear much fruit. Apart from me, you cannot do anything.